We're talking law on Radio 97. Do you have a question about the law that you'd like answered here on the program? Despina happy to do that for you. Just send it to us through the website, radio97.com.au. There are a couple of ways to contact us, but all of that information is available right there on the front page. Drop it to us as soon as you can, and Despina happy to answer the question for you here on a Thursday morning on Talking Law, radio97.com.au.
We're back with Despina, and we just mentioned before the break that we're talking to our pet owners, specifically doggy owners on the Gold Coast. Some laws might be changing, and the ones being proposed are quite significant. So, Despina, what is the update?
Yes, so being a dog lover myself, a pet owner, I thought this was quite interesting, and there are numerous people on the Gold Coast that own pets. So these are proposed amendments to the city's animal management local laws. So we're only talking Gold Coast, so everyone's clear, not any other local area region. So if people wanted to find the detailed information, they can go and find this fact sheet. So it's Local Law 12 Animal Management Fact Sheet. So if you Google that, you can get all the info. Because we don't really have enough time to go into all of the detailed changes, but we want to just canvass some of the changes that are coming through. So what council is proposing, there's about 6 or more different changes that they're proposing. And one of the first ones is animal noise nuisance. So I know it's a bit of a topic on the Gold Coast about, the dog barking next door or whatever the issue is. It's always a dog barking, isn't it? But there can be other animal noise nuisance.
The horses neighing way too loud.
Yes, and exactly. And the assessment from council can be quite subjective in terms of whether the noise is disrupting an activity on a neighbouring premises. And it's really about whether the noise is materially interfering with a person's reasonable use of their land. So what they're proposing is that they're trying to be a little bit more specific and saying that, for example, if the duration of the noise exceeds more than a total of 6 minutes in any 60-minute period between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. on any given day, or more than a total of 3 minutes in any 30-minute period between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. on any given day. And if that happens and the noise materially interferes with someone's reasonable use of their land, that's going to be a noise nuisance, and the person will be subjected to these penalty points and fines, etc., that we want to talk about a bit later.
It's very specific.
Yes, and they found that it still includes a subjective component, but it sets out numbers of minutes the noise must exceed before it is considered unreasonable, you see. And I think that's a little bit fair, because if a dog just barks once or for a minute and then stops and then might do it again in an hour, as opposed to constant barking, for example, or whatever the noise is. So they have to sort of include some parameters. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. And does it say for a period of time, like say if it's ongoing for a month plus, or does it outline that?
It doesn't say that at this time.
Yeah, I only think because, like, say if someone's on holiday and the dog is barking at home, I don't know, over the weekend or something, can you put in a formal complaint just for that one instance?
Well, it seems to be that if you have this noise and it goes for more than 6 minutes in any 60-minute period, or 3 minutes in any 30-minute. So, you've got one 30-minute period block, and then you might have another 30-minute period later in the day over more than 3 minutes. So that would qualify. Yeah. And you've got to prove that, I'm sitting here trying to enjoy myself in my own home, and then I've got this noise interfering with that. So, yeah. Look, there's a whole section on this fact sheet about permits and prohibitions, and there's some changes happening about where permits are no longer required for a number of other animals that we're not going to go through. We don't really have time to talk about that specific, but if you want to have a look at that, you might be interested, because there's horses, livestock, and there's other animals, hens, bees, rats and mice, geese, ducks and turkeys. So there's a whole range of things about where permits, and where permits may not be considered necessary anymore, including guard dogs. So that's another big section. But there's another couple of things we want to talk about: keeping of dogs and koala protection areas, right? So on the Gold Coast, I know that there are certain koala habitats, and there are certain residential areas that back onto koala habitats and areas. So now there's going to be some changes where, look, if you live in an area that's within a koala habitat and a protected area, you've got to actually take measures. So if you have a fenced area, you've now got to be able to take measures so you don't allow a koala to come into your property. So that'll depend on your fence, I think, because a wooden fence, a paling fence, as opposed to an open fence, that where, animals can go in between. The rails, for example, is quite different. So even though it's your property and the koalas don't live perhaps on your property, but they may be able to enter into your property, you've now got to take those measures to safeguard so your dog doesn't attack the koala. And so they're really putting that onus onto the lot owners. I suppose if you live in that area, you've got to take those measures and be aware of that. Animal enclosures. So they found that over a period of time, dog owners weren't breaching laws with attacks if the dog was still inside your lot. But somehow they're able to stick their face through or their head through a hole or over the top of the fence and potentially attack a passerby, or instill that fear that we've talked about on the show before.
Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. Yep. So now there's going to be some more requirements to change your animal enclosures. So they may have to make modifications. They might have to include lining gaps or raising the height of the fence in some instances. So that's going to be coming about. And look, control of animals in public places is a big thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And we talked about
dog attacks at the moment. It seems like the past year, it's just risen.
Yeah, so interesting. They're going to change the meaning of effective control. So what that means, two different changes. So in off-leash dog exercise areas and outside the off-leash dog exercise areas. So in the off-leash dog exercise areas, they're going to remove the requirement for a dog to be in the immediate vicinity of the owner, which is currently defined as within a 10-meter radius. Okay. So instead, they're going to require that the dog be visible to the person exercising the dog, as opposed to it's just going to be within 10 meters of the person exercising control of the dog. And they've done that because they found that 10 meters wasn't considered necessary in an exercise area anyway, because it wasn't allowing the dogs to properly run and play.
So how do you get your dog who's already 10 minutes away to then make sure they stay within that bubble as well? Like, I would find that very difficult. It makes sense that obviously they dart off, they go for a run and come back, but Billy, you don't go more than 10 meters from me.
Well, exactly. It'd be an estimate or approximate, but I've been in dog leash areas. They're enclosed, I should say, and you do take your dog off the leash. So off-leash dog areas, but they're fenced. So you take your dog off the leash, but some owners just sit on the park bench and don't watch their dog, and they just roam everywhere. So I think this is good because the dog's got to be visible to you, and there's trees, so the dog sometimes is not visible to you, and they're running down the other side, so you've got to follow them to make sure you can always see them. So I think that's probably a good thing.
Similar to a child, if you look at it that way. Similar to if you take your kids to a park or something. Just make sure you have your eye on them. Yeah.
Of course. It's not a situation where you can just go there for coffee and relax and not watch your dog. So outside of off-leash dog exercise areas, now they're going to remove the requirement for the length of a dog leash to be not more than 2 meters. So again, they've said the restriction in the current law is not considered to be necessary for the effective control of a dog. So that's going to be interesting. So currently the requirement is to be not more than 2 meters. So,
all right. So some changes there.
What
about fines? Because one of the things I think that a lot of people are upset about is because the fine previously was like $140 or something. I think it was one penalty unit, so $140. But I mean, a lot of people, okay, $140, whatever. I'm willing to pay that. So we probably need the fines to be a little heavier, perhaps.
We do. And what council has said, of course, in reviewing this, is that the current penalties aren't considered to be an effective deterrent for dog owners and people who have effective control of dogs. So I think that's good. And I think that the penalty unit, which is which equates to $143 for most of the offences, is not enough. So now we're going to see an increase in that. So, for example, if there's an animal not found to be kept under effective control, instead of $143, it's going to go to 4 penalty units, which is $572.
Ooh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's going to be quite a significant change. Yeah, and again, larger increases for offences with the potential to result in fear or actual harm. So we go from $143 to $429. So I think that's probably more of a deterrent for dog owners to be more responsible. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, so interesting. Okay. And these laws are proposed, so it's not in place just yet.
That's right. And you can have your say. So I think you can go online and you can have your say now with these proposed local laws and tell council what you think about them.
Yeah, the website is gchaveyoursay.com.au. Thank you, Despina. And if anyone does want to get in touch with any law questions, or if they want to touch base about this topic, where can they go to get in touch with you?
Yes, so they can phone the office 55291 if they would like to email with a query, info@prialalegal.com.au. Can be any query, not necessarily today's segments. And then I'll upload these segments again on YouTube for anyone that wants to watch the full video of today's segments.
And we'll see you next week.
Great. See you then, guys.
Bye-bye.